Bam. How are you? It says I've been live for 11 seconds, but it hasn't been that long. I mean, let me check some stuff real quick just to see if my stuff is working, specifically the audio. I was listening to it. I was listening to it yesterday, a replay of one of my live streams, and it's like I'm screaming in the microphone. And I assure you, I am not screaming into the microphone. I am. There are days when I'm a little bit excited, but like today, soft spoken. I'm at my home office. Most likely no one can even hear me in the rest of the house. So it's kind of weird how they set up the audio. How are you? It is Friday. It is June 17th, and it's about 11:45 in the morning. This is my earliest live stream, I think, this week, which, I'm happy about that. It's getting a little. I'm trying to make a lot of changes at once, and whenever you do that, it's just a bad idea. But sometimes we're forced to make changes, and so that's kind of where I'm at. Is I'm just forced to make a bunch of changes. I don't want to make any changes. I like things the way they are, but things have to change. So of those things, I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to eat a little better. I'm trying to lose a little weight. Not really thrilled about it, but I don't know. The idea is that I'm carrying too much weight, and then that's not healthy. And it's not like I want to be super healthy. Like, I love to eat. I love to eat. You know that, but I just want to slow it down a little bit. I just have that urge. Not that it matters, but my birthday's tomorrow. I'll be 45 years old, and I've been thinking about it all week. Gosh, another 45 years, I'll be 90 if I make it that long. And time is going by so fast for me, especially like the last decade. I mean, it's just flown by. I mean, I'll have terrible days. I think Tuesday, I think, was just an awful day. But it seems like if I was a kid, that terrible day would last almost a week in time. And now a terrible day for me, I mean, it's gone. It's gone in like 15 minutes. So it's weird. It's just a strange thing getting older. Will I stream tomorrow? Probably, because why not? Will I show houses tomorrow? I mean, why not? I mean, to me, it's just, I don't know. You have your big birthdays when you're a kid, right? And then you turn, 21 and, oh, it's great. And after that, 40 was, I didn't really particularly like that one. And so it is what it is. Not a big birthday person. So, well, I suspect you want to talk about housing. Maybe. That's kind of why we're here. Kind of. Just random stuff. I'm showing a condo and a house this afternoon. I don't have anything in particular in mind with those showings other than we've been looking at houses in a particular area at a particular price range. And this fits that price range and the houses that we've looked at. And what I'm trying to do, it's a first-time home buyer, and what I'm trying to do is just teach them how to, just because it's not a box of cereal. So like, let's say you go to the grocery store and there's, a row of cereal, and say like Honey Nut Cheerios is like, God only knows what it costs now, $5 a box. Okay, let's just say that. Okay, so you go and you buy your cereal from, and what's in the box. It's cereal. Well, real estate's a little different. You don't have always the same thing. We could have the same price, same asking price, but we never really know what we're getting. And kind of the game that I like to play in real estate is, how much can I get for my money? What is my value? If I see 4 houses listed for $170,000, let's just say, of those 4 houses, which is the best? And that's the one I want. This, to me, I mean, this is what I've done my whole career. It's a slower process. It's a maddening process to someone that wants to look at houses over like a 50-mile area, because you're never going to be able to compare houses for the price at that level. I mean, it's just too much. But if you can pick a particular location, okay, you know, like let's just say maybe a zip code, and you just focus on a particular price, I guarantee you when you buy that house, there will be no buyer's remorse, because you've looked at all the houses available at that price for some time. When I was reading early on in the pandemic, people said that 87% of people who had purchased a home had buyer's remorse, and I was like, I could not run my business if everyone that bought a house had buyer's remorse. Every one of my buyers, I just couldn't do that. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go look at a house. It's going to be a certain price. We're going to compare that with the other houses we've seen around that same price range. And over time, the buyer should have a great deal of comfort in their choice. Now, what I think is difficult is, I wouldn't say difficult, but something to pay attention to is, we all have our kind of biases into what we like. Okay. So for example, stainless steel appliances right now, people like stainless steel appliances. And it doesn't matter if it's like the cheap kind that's like, you can kind of tell it's cheap, or the, you know, the best kind that you can possibly get. You know, I would say the kind of the fake stainless steel, like, you know what, I think you know what I'm talking about if you've ever seen it. But anyway, you know, some people, let's just say like in the mid 90s, we had white, everything was white. And I'm not criticizing it. I grew up then, but, so we go to a house and there's two houses and they're both asking, say, 200,000. One has stainless steel appliances. One has white appliances. Well, a younger crew might be more partial to the stainless steel appliances. Okay. Whereas I don't really care. We can look at, I think, bigger differences. So what if one house has a finished basement and one house doesn't? Same price. And you could say, well, John, the finished basement in the one house is from 1940. Mm-hmm. Fair point. But that's kind of the trade-offs that you go through. And so I think, for instance, in certain parts of town, I think you should have a garage. I don't think you should have your car on the street. I don't think it's a safe plan. I don't think you should do it. So I think that if you're buying a particular house at a particular price in a particular area, you should probably have a garage. That's worth something to me. Other people may not have that opinion. Other people may not care that it has a garage. So you just go kind of up and down the list, and with your buyer, they have things that they feel are most important to them. And so, you know, we go in that direction. Now, you could say, what about square footage? You know, well, obviously, you know, if you get a house with more square footage for a lower price, that would seem to be a good thing. But if the house is trashed and you have to do a whole bunch of work, or it's an addition that just doesn't make any sense, I mean, what are you really getting if you're never going to use the addition and it's a waste of space? Should you pay a premium for it? This is my thought. I just present homes that I think make sense at a certain price to my buyers. Now, knowing full well, I mean, just because a house has an asking price of, say, 200, okay, doesn't mean the house is going to sell for 200. That's the other issue in this market. I mean, it depends on how bad somebody wants a house. And so the difficult thing in this market to me would be is determining what's the drop dead number. What's the number that says, if it's more expensive than this, I'm walking away? I mean, is it based on a percentage? Are we 10% over asking? Are we 20%? Or are we a base number? What are we doing? And so that is difficult. And so another way I try to help my buyers is I always, anything we ever see, anything I ever go show something, we always save it in our system, and we watch it and we see what happened to that property. Did did it sell for X over asking? I mean, what happened? And you may say, well, John, that's 30-year-old, that's 30-day-old data. Yes, I agree with that. And obviously things have changed. I mean, look at in the past 2 weeks, the mortgage rates have increased. So they may not go back down for a while. I mean, it's really bad. So anyway, with the 30-day delay, there is some issue, but I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if it's my experience, but certainly in a lot of places, if I see a house that's sold and I see a couple of them, I mean, I'm much more comfortable writing an offer at a certain price. So if I've seen like 4 houses and I've been in all of them, because it's really hard to do a comp on a house that you've never seen on the inside. I mean, it's not going to go very well. But if you get something where you've been to a bunch of houses in an area, you're going to feel much more comfortable about writing an offer. There's just no doubt. You have to be careful with big, like what I would say, big spaces, so, like a big range. So let's just say and then let's talk about that. So let's say your buyer has a max offer ability to write an offer of say $250. Okay. Now this is in today's market. I don't think it's going to stay this way, but okay. If they have a max of $250, you really can't be looking at houses for $250,000. And you have an additional problem in the house may not appraise and people are writing in, they're waiving the appraisal. So that means that they have to bring, in addition to their down payment, they have to bring the difference between what the house appraises for and what the house the offer is accepted for. So just like a basic thing. So let's just say you look at houses for $250, which is really dumb since you can only afford $250. And let's say then you write an offer. So this house, it goes on the market for, let's say $249.9, and you're like, I love it, let's buy it. And so now you write an offer for $250. Okay. But in this market, the house doesn't appraise. It only appraises for like $230. Well, you really can't afford a $250,000 house because you probably don't have the cash in addition to the down payment. This is a newer wrinkle to the real estate world that I'm in from say 10 years ago. It's something to pay attention to. So if you're gonna look at houses in a systematic way, like I'm proposing, you need to be at probably what, 220 is your max, because you're gonna have to have an escalation clause or something in the offer, and then you have to be able to afford it. So and even then, if you're at 230. If the thing doesn't appraise for more than 200, I mean, you're still in a problem. Now you say, John, if you're a professional, why would your sales price be outside of that of the appraisal? So what I mean basically is, if I write an offer and we're above asking and I say, well, it looks like the houses are going for about this, but an appraiser comes up with a different number. The issue is, well, shouldn't your two numbers be close? And to be honest with you, no. There are real estate agents who are appraisers, no question. But when you're doing an appraisal, it's a different setup than it is for a real estate agent or a broker price opinion. I mean, I feel like, especially in an area where I'm very comfortable, I feel like I can tell you pretty close what the market's doing and adjust much faster than an appraiser. So when the market starts slowing down here, it hasn't, but when it does start slowing down here, I will know before the appraiser. Similarly, when things were going crazy, that's why people started writing offers waiving appraisals, because they're like, it's going to go for more. And so I'm not the only, I don't want you to think that I'm the only agent that can figure that out. No, that's not the way it is. But it'll be interesting today. One of the things that I've changed my stance on in this market is I'm writing an offer. If somebody says I'm interested, I'm writing an offer. I'm not waiting until the last minute. I'm not doing it. I got burned. I feel like I've been burned more than once, and I'm just not doing it. If someone takes my offer and shops it to somebody else, it's just unfortunately the way it's going to be, because the alternative of not putting an offer in at all is terrible. It just makes you feel awful. And I'm dealing with that now. So that's this afternoon. Tonight we got an event. Tomorrow we got an event. I suspect, like, this is me, mark this down, I think that this weekend will be a little slow. Why? Well, there's Juneteenth, which you may or may not think is a great holiday. Like, you may not celebrate it. You may not, it may not mean anything to you, but it is a holiday. And then you have Father's Day. I mean, it's the same thing as when there's Mother's Day. I mean, you may personally not, pay attention to the holiday, but I know that there'll be buyers that are not on the market this weekend just because of that. Weather-wise, it's been terrible in St. Louis, but it hasn't been as humid as it normally gets. So I don't think that that's going to hurt the weekend. It looks like it's going to be fine. But one of the things I wanted to go over about the appraisals is, I want to circle back. I've put podcasts out. We've talked about in the past this idea that there's these quote unquote racist appraisals, and every instance I've ever seen reported, okay, is when someone goes to refinance their house. It has never been, in what I've seen, now you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's never been when someone actually goes to buy a house. And so that appraisal, your first purchase, is going to be different than your refinancing. And so just to put it out there, I think the idea of a racist appraisal is terrible. It seems to be more prevalent in the refinancing area. But it is something to pay attention to. I think the bigger thing for me right now is I don't want to kick appraisers too hard. I think that they have a difficult job. A lot of times I'll see a house come up for sale in a very stable neighborhood, and there hasn't been a decent comp in more than 6 months. Well, what do? Well, you have to go kind of around the area. Well, in the suburbs, different neighborhoods were built at different times. You don't always have that good. You don't have a good comparison because of that. So it's really difficult. I certainly think that you can miss on an appraisal. And during the fallout from the last housing bubble, appraisers, have been regulated. One of the things that was kind of strange is you no longer have, like, the banks don't have the ability to choose their own appraiser. It has to go through a clearinghouse. I don't know that that's so great. Okay. Especially in the beginning, we would have people that would appraise stuff that would normally be like in Illinois coming over to St. Louis and making estimates, and it's like, or appraisals, and it's like, this doesn't make any sense. But they've cleaned that up for the most part. What do you do if a house doesn't appraise? Well, you pay the difference in this market. That's what you do. There will be a time when house prices match appraisals again. They still do. I mean, I represented a buyer maybe a month ago, and the house appraised, and we were way over asking. You just never know. My strategy right now, my favorite strategy, which I feel uncomfortable sharing with you, is if we have a house that comes on the market, okay, normally it comes on the market Friday, offers due on Sunday, decision on Monday. If there's nothing, if there's no offers, and that thing stays on the market, and we've seen it, offer that week, definite offer that week, and don't get cute with the offer. The other thing is when when a house comes back on the market that we liked, write an offer before anybody else can walk through it. That's my strategy. It doesn't go real well because my buyers don't know this game I'm playing, and I've tried to explain it, but it just doesn't kind of doesn't resonate. I don't know. I'm just trying to share some stuff with you. I think we'll get into some of the articles today. I would be curious to know what your opinion is on the new format. If you're like, I like this, I don't like it. Interesting. It would be nice to know. It'd be nice to get some feedback. A little slower than it used to be, I guess, is my thing. So here we go. Let's share the screen. We'll go over here and we'll go to this. And I got to figure out where I'm at on the thing. I want to be down in the corner today. I don't know. I should probably be here. No, that's terrible. Right about there. Okay. We're on the Deerwood Realty website. If you're in St. Louis, if you're in the surrounding areas, and you want to look at listings and stuff, come on over. So I just wanted you to see the rates today. And it's down here at the bottom. Rates are, right in the sixes, kind of straddling, like right now we're at 6.05%. Yesterday we're at 6.03% for 30-year fixed. That's across the United States. You could probably get a little less. Rates change every day, but my opinion is that the interest rate, 75 basis points on Monday or Tuesday, really the market spiked, but that was in anticipation of, and the rates, they were like 6.3. It was bad one day, but they've come down. Will they go up over time? Maybe. There's a whole lot that goes into mortgage rates. It's not just the borrowing. It's not just the Fed funds rate. It's how aggressive does a lender want to be? It's what is the market looking like? There's all kinds of things that go into the rate that you get. But I think if I were talking to a buyer right now and they said, well, what are we looking at for rates? I would say, let's figure 6%. And so I saw this article. It's a sales article, but I thought it was kind of interesting. And I wanted to go over my own experience and maybe help those of you out there who may want to get into being a real estate agent or, a real estate broker or how you want to do your career. Now, based on my current situation, I don't think I would call myself an expert on like doing a great job as being a real estate agent. Maybe I'm being harsh, but I'm not happy with the way things are going in my own business. So maybe you should think differently. Let me give you my opinion based on the time that I've been in the business, and then you can choose. Okay, so should I sell my home with a big brokerage or a small local one? So the first issue is this is on the listing side. Okay. It says selling your home is a big undertaking and you want to make sure you have the best professional on your side to help you. There are so many different type of real estate firms. It can be difficult to know how to find the best agency or brokerage. In fact, there are more than 106,500 brokerage firms registered in the United States, according to data from the National Association of Realtors. Before listing their house on the market, home sellers should consider whether a small local brokerage or a large national one will serve them best. And it may not be a clear-cut decision. Here's everything to consider, including the pros and cons for each. Now, I think that if you are concerned with the size of the brokerage when you're listing your property, you are, I'm going to say, missing the forest for the trees. quite frankly, I would not even for one moment say, oh, I should pick a small broker to list my house or a large brokerage. I mean, that would be ridiculous. First off, what are you getting out of a large brokerage? And it's going to talk about it, but I'm telling you, you're getting a person. Okay. Now, does name branding help when you're listing a property? Like, so if you had a Remax agent, would that be better than having a Realty Executives agent or a Coldwell Banker agent or a Redfin agent? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think someone's going to come to your house and say, because you have it listed with Redfin, I'm going to buy your house. Or because you have your house listed with Keller Williams, I'm going to buy this house. Because on Remax, like you can have a Remax brokerage, like different owners, like 2 doors down from each other. To me, this is not where you should be looking for your decision. But let's keep going. It says, what is a real estate brokerage? It says a brokerage serves as intermediaries between buyer and seller in a real estate transaction. They literally broker the transaction. A brokerage can be either a single individual or a multi-person legal entity. Think of it like a stockbroker who helps people buy and sell stocks, but instead helping people buy and sell properties. I disagree with that. Well, let's continue. Individual real estate brokers or agents typically work as independent contractors through a brokerage firm, which is a company that oversees multiple agents and their transactions. Okay, so let's break that down. Yes. A brokerage is what houses the people buying and selling houses for that brokerage. If you are a real estate broker, and by my definition, that means you're the main recruiter for your brokerage. And that's your main focus. If you're a real estate agent, your main focus is doing transactions. I'm in a weird spot because I have a real estate brokerage and I'm a real estate agent. I'm a real estate brokerage acting as a real estate agent, which is not a good thing. I should probably be recruiting all the time, but I don't particularly want to. I don't. I'd like a small team because I think the transactions are so important for the people, and I don't want like 100 agents. I just couldn't handle it. I would go crazy. Real estate salespeople are something else. Like when you get a bunch of them, it says brokerages come in all sizes, from mom and pop operations, which I guess I would be, to huge national conglomerates. You're probably familiar with the name of the larger ones like Century 21, which doesn't have a very big presence in St. Louis. They do have, I know one lady, but she came from Illinois. So Remax, Compass, it's funny because Compass wasn't around 10 years ago, but they're the largest by volume, at least last year. Coldwell Banker, Keller Williams claims to be the largest by agent count with 164,399 agents registered in the U.S. and Canada as of 2021 December. Now, I don't think that matters. I'm not selling real estate in Canada. And then I also know that they got dinged like 2 years ago for having basically dead names on the rolls, which would be people that they're not even part of the company anymore, but they're still on the agent count. So I don't really, it's certainly something if they want to say we have more agents than anyone else. I mean, that's nice. I don't know that helps you sell your house. But anyway, of course, being with a supersized brokerage isn't required to be a great listing agent. Absolutely. Some smaller firms offer client service and care that is just as good as, if not better than, some of the larger firms. It all depends on what you're looking for as a seller. Well, that's an interesting question. If, like, when you're like sitting there and what you're looking for as a seller, you're looking to sell your home, I would think that'd be the number one thing you'd want to be looking for. Who sells it? Somebody you get along with. I mean, really, as it says, is it the same as an agency? I don't know what that means. Typically, the words agency and brokerage are used interchangeably, says Rebecca Weinbauer, a Boise, Idaho realtor and director of operations at the Ben Kinney team at Keller Williams. That's a mouthful. It's important to check each state, though, as sometimes the language differs a little. So we have a company in St. Louis called The Agency. I think it's a playoff of some other agency. But yeah, it's a real estate brokerage. It sounds good. It sounds good. Good marketing. Technically, according to the National Association of Realtors, an agency creates a legally binding agreement between the real estate agent and their client. This agreement helps ensure the client works in the best interest of their client. A brokerage, however, refers to the ability of the real estate professional to act as an intermediary for their client in the buying or selling process. Brokerages are also agency since the firm assumes agency for the client. Generally speaking, the terms mean more or less the same thing. Deerwood Realty Agency. Doesn't work. Let's go over the large brokerage pros and cons. Now, I don't necessarily know if I'm going to agree with these or not. I don't know. Let's find out. It says selling your home with an agent from a large brokerage comes with both benefits and challenges. Now, I know one that people think, and we'll see if it's on there. And if it's not on there, then that's fine. It says more resources. A larger organization is likely to have more resources available to its agents and therefore its clients. This might include better technology and ongoing education opportunities for agents, for example. Now, let me put it out there that better technology isn't going to get your house sold, I don't think. Just because the agent has a better email address or an email system doesn't mean you're going to get a better job. One of the brokerages in St. Louis, one of the agents always advertises that during your home search on the buyer side, they will give you an iPad so you can look at things on your iPad. And I don't really care. I don't think that's gonna be what helps you buy a house. But again, we're talking about listing a house for sale. And then as far as ongoing education opportunities, I have to take continuing ed. We talked about it this week. I don't particularly want to, but I'm taking it. So let's just say the more resources in this way it's explained is not something that I think is a reason to choose a large brokerage over a small brokerage, understanding that I am biased towards the small brokerages. It says brand recognition. While brand recognition may not make your home sell quicker, it does offer some accountability with the brand and a sense of assurance that they will provide quality assistance. If you believe that, you're going to be very, very disappointed. I think that the big brands need to spend the majority of their time building their brand as a response to terrible reviews. I'm telling you, I think that brand recognition is absolutely ridiculous. No one, let me tell you something. In this market, if I put a house, let's just have a fun experiment. If I put a house out on the market that's worth $250 and I put it on the market for $225, do you really think that anybody is going to say for even a moment, oh my God, it's not listed with Keller Williams, I'm not going to make an offer on it when it's $25,000 less than what it should go for? No. You're going to make an offer on the house. It says a larger network. Being part of Keller Williams gives me great reach. If I have a client moving out of state, I can potentially connect them with another Keller Williams agent in the area they're moving to. If I have a buyer who wants a specific type of home in a specific area, but haven't yet found what they're looking for, I can reach out to my network to find out if someone knows of a listing coming on the market soon. If that were true, let me just put a couple of things out there. So I get emails every day from agents that have houses coming up. And in this market, I have emails from agents that say, hey, I need this. Can you get me this? Okay. And they don't seem to care that I'm a small broker. I still get the emails. As far as you being recommended to another agent in a different state, I've referred people to agents in different states. I'm an independent small brokerage. I have no problem doing it. The fact that you're part of a brokerage in one state doesn't mean that the quality of the agent is going to be any better in a different state or location. So there's your pros. That's totally bunk. I've just debunked everything. Now, let's get in there for one thing that they did not use. And I want you to understand that I get this one. I understand this one. A lot of times what you'll have, especially I would say older people, maybe in their 50s. Now, this is not a criticism, and I'm in my 40s. So I say older people, they seem to think that if you are if you're listing a house and you're listing it with a large brokerage, that someone from that brokerage will automatically have a buyer for you. And it's just that easy. So the house may never, ever go to the market because they'll just sell it in-house. I think that's very dangerous. Here's why. First off, how do you know you're getting the right price for the house? How do you know that you're getting what you can possibly get for that house? Number two, what makes you think that we don't have the internet now? And 90% of all searches for homes start on the internet. So to me, if I list something, it's going to be on Zillow within 15 minutes of when I list it. Okay. All these home buyers are looking at Zillow, realtor.com, homes.com maybe, but I don't know anybody that's ever looked there. No offense. And then there's like 6,000 other ones, syndicators, listings. That's what some people believe, though. The problem with that is, we have rankings in our business journal once a year. It's like the top brokerage. Well, during the times of heavy foreclosures, that's who's going to be listing. That's going to be the top listing group, because they bulk do listings. I mean, they do they charge nothing literally, and they have 100 listings. The next group on there is going to be flat fee agents. They're going to be up there. Why? Because they have to do a lot of volume, or they're going to go out of business quickly. So I've never really been a fan of the rankings, either by office or by agents, because it's such a kind of do you really want the top foreclosure company listing your house when it's not a foreclosure? No. But anyway, that's my pro. Okay. I put a pro out there. People think this, and so maybe it's true. Cons: less room for fee negotiation. A large brokerage typically requires its agents to pay it a set percentage of fees earned. This fee structure can sometimes be set in stone, meaning the agent can't lower their fees much. Well, if you were a real estate agent, wouldn't you love a brokerage that says it better be this price or we're not doing it? Because then it takes the decision out of your hands. Now you can negotiate lower all the time. I don't typically negotiate my fees, and I'm a small brokerage. Well, why is that? Well, I mean, if I'm gonna fold on the listing side to you, what do you think I'm going to do when there's an agent on the other side that wants to buy it for $10,000 less than it's worth? I'm probably going to fold there too, because I'm very, very compliant. I'm very, very, I don't stand for anything. I don't stand my ground. If that's what you want as a seller, that's kind of up to you. That seems like a bad idea, but I do like that idea that there's less room for fee negotiation. But then again, you're hiring an agent that has no flexibility. And then it says a higher possibility of inexperience. With a large organization comes more space for real estate agents who are new or not yet seasoned veterans. Well, I am a seasoned veteran at this point. And I can remember my zest for life as a new agent. And I also know that agents come and go. Like a year or two in and you're out. It's not a fun business. It's not fun. It's very humiliating. I would say it's humbling. That's what I was first going to say. But wait until you lose a listing, and when you think you have it, or wait until you lose a sale when you think you have it. So the higher possibility of an experience, how this is reflected is, you could have first of all, who's going in the phone book and just calling the first brokerage they see? Who's even got a phone book? So that doesn't make any sense. But then there used to be a desk in the office. Okay. And these people would be on the call desk. And so anytime, in fact, I think Coldwell Banker still has it here in St. Louis. I think if I call or anybody else calls for a showing, okay, some agent, a newer agent, can sit on the desk and can take you and show you houses if there's no other agents. I don't know if that still exists, to be honest with you. Anyway, let's move on. It says small brokerage pros and cons. Listing your home with a small brokerage will likely result in a more personalized, localized experience. but they may not have as many resources available. Okay. So I've told you time and time again that, I have to know someone before I feel comfortable listing their house. I have to know someone before I'm comfortable working with them and helping them find a home to purchase. This is true. Is it because I'm in a small brokerage? I don't know. If I had to go to a big brokerage, you'd still get me. I wouldn't be as happy. But I would still exist. Let's continue. So it says, pros, personalized service. A real estate agent in a small brokerage will likely have more freedom to customize and cater the experience to your specific needs. That's true. It says greater local knowledge. A local brokerage specializes in its own area, sometimes to a very high degree. Its brokers will have a deep knowledge of the ins and outs of the market. This can be especially helpful in small areas where there's not much available, or in very large cities where real estate is hyper-local to specific neighborhoods. I wouldn't. There's people that know St. Louis better than I do at large brokerages. I don't think that's true. I don't agree with that. And then room for fee negotiations. While small brokerages might take a percentage of the agent's commission as well, agents there may have more wiggle room to negotiate a smaller commission. While on the sales side, on the buyer side, what are we talking about here? Again, I don't see that as likely. If someone's going to negotiate their commission, it's going to be no matter if they're at a large brokerage or at a small brokerage. That's my point. And then we got cons. Less resources. With a lower volume of commissions funding a smaller size brokerage, they may not be able to invest in all the latest technology or marketing tools to help with your sale. Well, I know quite a few agencies, okay, that have many, many more transactions than I do, that do a much worse job on their listings than I do. And it's got nothing to do with marketing tools or the latest technology. It's pure laziness. They don't care. And once you've been signed, okay, once you've agreed to list your house with somebody, they've got you. It doesn't matter what they do. You're now stuck with them until you both mutually agree to end the contract, which you may never do. It's embarrassing as a seller, it's embarrassing to realize that you picked the wrong outfit, right? And then it says not as much brand recognition. You might not have as much familiarity with or knowledge of the reputation for a small brokerage. So be sure to do your research. Yeah, you may not have much familiarity or knowledge, but that's good. Why is that? Some of these brokerages have some real dead weight on their rolls. Do you want that person? It says, what is a boutique brokerage? The term boutique brokerage typically refers to a smaller, extremely localized firm. It usually employs a limited number of agents and specializes in a specific niche, whether that be neighborhood, price point, or home type. The client list is often short, which means more dedicated attention for each client. I don't think so. No offense. If I like my agent, doesn't matter what agency they're with. Knowing the pros and cons of small versus large brokerages can help you find the right agent to sell your home. If you are considering multiple agents, it could be helpful to compare the different types of brokerages they work for. Not even a little bit. Ultimately, though, what matters most is that you find someone you click with and feel like you can trust. Doesn't matter what brokerage you're part of. If you can't trust the person, you don't like them, you're not going to choose them. Asking questions is really important. There's the perfect agent fit for every home seller. I encourage sellers to ask questions to make sure they feel confident in who they are. What questions are you asking? Really, it's important that they find someone who can represent their best interests, and confidence in that decision typically comes by asking questions to understand the agent, their company, and how they do business. Well, I'm telling you right now, someone called me today, and the first question was, hi, John, I really want to use you to list my house. How do you do business? I don't know. I don't know. I don't even understand the question. How do I do business? I don't know. Bottom line, there are advantages and disadvantages to working with both large and small real estate brokerages. That's the worst. Seriously, the last thing you need to worry about is if it's a large firm or a small firm to sell your house. On the list of things, it says, consider what's most important to you as you prepare to list your home. But remember, What matters most in the end is that you like your agent, not your agent's brokerage. Now, I don't think that's true. Here, let me just, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go here in case I make a mistake. Let me tell you something. Agents hate brokerage that they work for a lot of times. And brokerages make agents do things like jump through hoops that agents don't want to do. And they don't like that. And so they are jerks. So if you think that, the agent is angry with their brokerage during the time of your transaction, they probably are. I mean, they're paying franchise fees. They're paying all these other fees. They've been promised the moon and they've gotten nothing. Yes, they could be very, very angry. And all I have to say to that is that's what they chose. That's what they chose. But for you, I mean, find somebody that you like. Find someone you get along with. As far as like, do you trust the person? It's funny to me when I look at, like, let's just say I go on a listing call and I talk to the person, they seem like a nice couple, and they say, what do you think I can list my house for? Well, I don't know. What are you going to do with this, and this? And they say, well, we haven't thought about that yet. Can you still give us a number? I give them a number, let's say 250. Okay. And some other agent comes in there with, slick back hair. I don't have any hair. I can't win that one. And they say, well, I can sell your house for 270. Oh, first they'll go, what did the other agent say that she could list the house for? And they said 250. Oh, I can list it for 270. You're going to go with that agent. You don't know what the hell you're doing. I mean, really. So at that point, does it matter what the personality is? How does the second agent do business? Well, they lie to get the listing. Is that who you want to work with? And what I'm trying to tell you is that normally people get exactly what they want. I know that's strange, but people get what they want. If you want someone if you have this preconceived notion about a real estate agent in your mind, okay, you're probably going to get that agent when you go to sell your house. It's the most bizarre thing. And I think I enjoy watching it because, not in this market. This market is so ridiculous. Everything you put on the market sells. Asking or close to it. Some of the inventory is terrible, so that adds to it. But in a normal, balanced market, okay, and you lose out on a listing of some idiot, okay, you just laugh. You just laugh because they're both in for just a miserable experience, and you should be thankful in many ways that you're not part of it. That's what I have to say about that. Let's move on. We have another article. I thought this was interesting. It came up today to me, but it's a little old. It's from the New York Post. Now, understand, I'm a Midwesterner. I am not from the big city of New York City. I don't know anything about it. I've been there, but what do you want me to say? It says earn less than you need to earn at least $160,000 a year to rent anything in New York City. This was written on the 7th of June. Now that seems like a lot of money. Like I don't know. Is this going to do what I think it is? Oh, yes. It times out, this particular article. Anyway, earn less than six figures. Good luck scoring even a modest New York City apartment. The median ask for a rental in Manhattan has skyrocketed to $3,925 a month, a staggering 31.9% year-over-year jump from April of 2021. That means in order to apply for a city apartment, a renter would need to earn $157,000 per year under the 40 times rent rule that landlords generally require. It's a new record for high rent in the city, coming off record lows during the thick of the pandemic. The unprecedented demand for apartments in the city as New Yorkers return to work and new work from homers move to New York City has even resulted in bidding wars for studio apartments, as the Post previously reported. Meanwhile, the median New York household income was most recently just $67,046, according to the census. So to qualify for a Manhattan rental, you need to rake in close to 3 times what an everyday New Yorker makes. Now, are we talking about the whole state in that one? are we talking about? I mean, because that, I mean, no offense, but does anybody believe that people in Manhattan aren't making pretty good money because they can afford to live there? I'm not from here. I'm not from there. It says rents have never been this high, says Jonathan Miller, the president and CEO of Miller Samuel, which compiled the data, told the Post. As we continue to see record rents being set, that also means the threshold for salary is going to rise. Well, is it? Is it? Broken down further, the data shows that the median rent for a Manhattan studio was $28.50 a month, up from 28.4% since, up 28.4% since last year. Now, see what I need. I need this. I need a square footage, because this means nothing to me. I mean, if we're talking like 800 square feet, I'm very uncomfortable. It says meaning eligible tenants must make $114,000. One bedrooms jumped to 30. So a studio has not even got a bedroom. That's my understanding. I don't know. It says one bedrooms jumped to $3,995 a month from just $3,000 a year ago. In Brooklyn, the median rent reached $3,048, up from $2,730 a year over year. The studio in the city's largest borough will now set you back $2,674, meaning that to move to Brooklyn, you'll need to haul in a minimum of $106,000. Waterfront Queens neighborhoods cost even more. The median rent in northwestern Queens shot to $3,126 a month, up from $2,581 year over year. A studio in an area like Long Island City will now cost you $2,929, a staggering 51% more than in 2021. But don't expect relief anytime soon, it says. Rents are expected to rise even higher this summer as recent graduates arrive in town for new jobs. Worse still, the inventory of new apartments is expected to tighten, with few new developments coming to market. Man, it says the city's sales market isn't any better. According to a survey published by Zillow this month, the market has gotten so competitive and stressful that half of home buyers report the process made them cry at least once. Oh, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I mean, even in St. Louis, I mean, you go ahead and make an offer on like your seventh house and don't get it and see how you feel. Younger buyers were much more likely to shed tears over the experience, with 65% of Gen Z buyers and 61% of millennial buyers admitting home buying made them weep. I don't think that matters. I really don't. I don't like classifying people as Generation Z or millennials, all this crap. I really don't. Just go on this. If you had a house and you wanted to buy it and you had a job and you couldn't afford a house, even though that's what you wanted, and you made an offer and you didn't get it, it would make you sad. I don't think that's unreasonable. It says only 10% of recent buyers surveyed by Zillow said that no part of the process was stressful. Well, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. In fact, I manage the stress of my buyers and sellers on a daily basis. It's kind of what I do. It's always stressful. It's stressful for even like the most straight-laced person there is. Like, say there's an engineer, they're stressed. They're stressed. So I refuse. I refuse to believe that the 10%, I think they're lying. But while times are tough for those not bringing in a bundle, sky-high prices are nothing new to real estate scared or scarred New Yorkers who have long relied on swarms of roommates and guarantors to make the rent. It's not easy to digest, Miller said, noting that the inflation is also exacerbating the crisis. But landlords want renters who are qualified to pay the rent. As we continue to see record rents being set, that also means the threshold for salary will rise as the 40-time rules continues to be relied on. I will go back to this here. Let me do this here. Let me go to here. Okay. Let's assume that there's these economic cycles, okay? And let's assume that there are times when it's better to buy a house and there's times when it's better to rent. Okay, let's just say in general. Your specific situation may differ. It's thought that when the market is hot for buying a house, that the market is bad for renting a place. That's not how it works. And that's not what we're seeing in this market. One of the bigger problems that I'm running into with my buyers who have leases in effect, so they're leasing a property. Those leases are set to run out, and the raise in rents is going to be massive. So everything is more expensive. Everything. It's inflation. It's inflation. It came to the housing market. It's not going to go away. I don't think. I've said this for a while. It's just a disaster. Now you say wages must increase. Well, what happens when there's no longer as much of a demand for the products and services being sold? Because number one, people can't afford it. Or number two, it's just, it's a business. It's a zombie company as it is. You're not going to see huge wage increases in an environment where the unemployment number is going to probably be, like everyone's saying, it's in the, like 3 to 5% is full employment. I mean, there's no way we're staying at this number going forward. I mean, it's going to be like, it's just going to be a disaster. And I'm not saying like I'm happy about it. I just don't. All of my life, they've papered over severe economic issues. All of my life. I'm going to be 45 tomorrow. At some point, the wheels are going to fall off the thing. And gosh, it sure does seem like this is the time. Now, is it going to happen? I don't know. Maybe you can paper over it again. I thought we were dead in the water before we got the technology revolution. I mean, I really did. I thought it was not a good situation. I mean, the Googles and Apples and Facebooks and all those things really, really generated a boon to the U.S. economy. Okay, and they became worldwide conglomerates that are leading the way around the world. I just don't see that next technological advance that's going to get me where I need to get. That's going to paper over the problems. Okay, let's look at another story. I thought this was interesting, and I just wanted to share it with you because it's kind of a what would you do? What would you do? It says problem neighbor accused repeatedly of damaging utilities. Well, when you read that doesn't even make any sense. That doesn't even make any sense. Like, what do you mean a problem neighbor is repeatedly damaging utilities? Like, what has he got, a landline and he's like just throwing the landline? I mean, what? I don't even know what that means. And so it says this is out of Albuquerque. It says for years, deputies say Ted Castillo has been cutting off a North Valley couple's utilities, but now they say his destructive behavior has reached a whole new level. Okay. Let's put this into perspective. Say you're a nice couple, you're working with a real estate agent, and you buy a house, and there's not. I mean, the house is a little bit lower price than what you think it should sell for, but you buy it because it looks beautiful, everything's great, and then you go and you set up services, utilities, and everything's fine. But maybe a week into it, all of a sudden you don't have power. You don't have power because your neighbor cut the power to your house. Well, that seems odd, right? So you get it reattached and everything's good. Does it again. You've just moved into a house where you have a neighbor from hell. And no matter what you paid, it's now going to be an absolute disaster. And should that have been disclosed by the previous seller? Oh yeah, by the way, we have a neighbor who cuts our utilities. I've never seen that disclosure, but it'd be interesting. If it cost you to leave, perhaps, I'm not a lawyer, perhaps you should put it on the disclosure. I don't know. Anyway, according to the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office, Castillo had admitted to cutting utilities to Leslie Archibald's home, which butts up to a property he owns but does not live in. The neighbors say for years, Castillo has been fighting a public utility easement through the alley, but his claims have been denied in court. So instead, he's been taking matters into his own hands. Court records show that the first time he cut the gas and electricity was April 2019, and then did it 2 more times over the next month, causing thousands of dollars in damages. We get displaced. We have to find homes to stay at while we don't have electricity, said this owner. Now, can you imagine? Can you imagine that this is allowed to happen in the United States? That some idiot is able to cut your power and cut your gas at least 3 times and nothing happens? Castillo was convicted of misdemeanor property damage, but when he appealed his conviction, the district attorney's office decided it wasn't worth the fight, citing COVID and limited resources, both the state and the court. Now, you should be insulted. You should personally be insulted when any public administrator says that there are limited sources, both the state and the court. Do you know how much money goes to those people every year? Millions. Okay. The fact of the matter is the district attorney here is a jerk. And that's the nicest thing I can say about him. This wasn't the end of the trouble. It says, Archibald says she found him on the roof last year, cutting the power lines again. Her husband took the ladder away and kept him on the roof until deputies arrived. This week, he was found incompetent to stand trial in that case. Then on Friday, Castillo is accused of ramming his truck into the power pole. It will probably be 2 weeks before we get electricity back in our home. Once again, deputies say Castillo admitted to causing the damages. This time, he has been charged with felony property damage, a 4th-degree felony. He faces up to 18 months in prison if convicted. But he's not fit to stand trial. He's not fit to stand trial. And so we've got this situation where these poor people have bought a house. The guy doesn't even live. He doesn't even live near them. And they have to deal with this. I mean, what do you do? Like, you called the police come out, they arrest him. District attorney doesn't charge. It's very, very annoying. I have right above me, I have a room, and they're just squeaking on the floors, and it's driving me absolutely insane. But, you know, that's what happens when you have a home office, right? Anyway, I just can't believe that. I mean, we need to shine more lights on these issues where there are people, I mean, allegedly committing crimes, and there's nothing going on. They're not being punished. It's just ridiculous. Can you imagine someone doing this to your home? Like right now in St. Louis, I believe that it's going to be maybe 95, 96 degrees today. If someone cut my power, okay, I'd be miserable for hours, maybe days. God, I don't know how long it would take for them to attach the power to my house. I mean, all my food would spoil. Couldn't do a live stream. Maybe that's a good thing. But man, and then to cut the gas service. I mean, and then like, I get it. Okay. Like, you have a problem with the county or the city, the municipality. So you're going to take it into your own hands. I get it. But then you take your truck and run it into the utility pole. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, seriously. And this is one of those things where it's like, what I'm seeing in St. Louis County with regards to the homeless is unacceptable. In a first world country, we should not have this situation where we have homeless wandering the streets, not prosecuted, totally cool, not being taken to a shelter, not being taken off the streets, just standing there like zombies on the side of the road. It's gotten out of hand. It's very, very gross. And it follows this same behavior by this oddball who is dismantling the utilities of his neighbor. I mean, it's ridiculous. With that, look, if you've made it this far into my live stream, maybe you should consider subscribing. I mean, What does it hurt you, right? What does it hurt you? Now that you literally press the button subscribe, and if you stop watching my content, I won't even show up in your recommended. I won't even show up. So you don't even, but you've done a great thing for me because I'm literally at 14 subscribers. I could be at 15 subscribers if you just press that button. Some people say smash the like button. I don't really want to smash anything. Tap it gently, be nice to it. What did the button do to you? But I'd appreciate it. What we generally talk about is real estate news, real estate related things. I like to put my spin on it. I like to engage with the chat, which never shows up, but maybe someday. But yeah, I would really like it if you did subscribe. And for those of you who do watch, because nobody watches live, it seems, but down the road, thank you for watching, and come hang out. Let's talk about some real estate stuff. Ask me questions. I'm going to do an Ask Me Anything, but since nobody ever asked me, I'm going to have to make the questions up myself. But I think it'll be a lot of fun, and I look forward to putting that on for you sometime in the future. With that, I'm going to head on out. I've got to get ready for showings. I've got to do some other things. But thank you for watching. I will see you tomorrow.